I'm Clint Emerson, retired Navy SEAL. I spent time at SEAL Team 3, the NSA, SEAL Team 6. I was no incredible athlete, nor was I some genius. I was your average kid growing up in Texas who just had a lot of passion to go down this path. I was a troublemaker. At heart, I still am, and I enjoyed getting in trouble, but more importantly, I enjoyed not getting caught. That somehow extended into an adult profession of roaming the planet, causing trouble, and not getting caught. First, you have to take a leap of faith and join the Navy. You have to be willing to be a sailor first before you can be a SEAL. For me, I wanted nothing to do with being a sailor. I wanted nothing to do with those big gray ships. I knew since I was 10 years old, I just wanted to be a SEAL. And so I went in, I was still in college, I joined the Navy, I signed the dotted line, didn't tell my parents, nobody knew I was going until about 2 weeks before the plane took off to go to Chicago. Up at Great Lakes is where you go through boot camp. Boot camp is roughly 8 weeks. In about week 3 or 4, they'll say, hey, who wants to be a SEAL? Who wants to be EOD? That starts the process. They tell you, hey, you need to show up on this morning at this time over at the swimming pool. The first thing you have to do is a swim, then you have to do pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, and then you have to do a run. All of which has to be done in a certain amount of time on the swim and the run, and then your push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups have to meet a minimum standard. Then from there, you just finish out boot camp, you get orders, and your orders will be either to an A school, which gives you a MOS or a job that you're going to do in the Navy, or you're going to go to BUD/S. I had to go to an A school and I picked the medical route. So I went to Corpsman School, and so that was an additional 3 months after boot camp where you learn basic EMT skills and nothing more. Then I went to BUD/S, which is in San Diego. First thing they had me do while I was in my dress blues was go hit the surf zone, get wet and sandy, and that is the big welcome to BUD/S. And you know exactly where you're at when that happens because the Pacific Ocean is always around 55 degrees. It's cold. Getting sandy is part of your life from there on out. Every guy has their own anxieties about different challenges they know they're going to face in BUD/S. For me, it was a particular section of pull comp, and pull comp is inside of the second phase of training, which is focused all on everything from dive physics to dive medicine, and then of course being comfortable in the water. Pull comp is truly testing how comfortable you are underwater while you're breathing on scuba and making sure that you can remain calm in stressful situations. You've got your fins, you've got your mask, you've got all the common equipment, and you're just going back and forth along the bottom of a very deep swimming pool known as the combat training tank. And while you're going back and forth, the SEAL instructors are above doing shark attacks. And of course, they wait until they see all the bubbles come out, and then they come down, taking your air away, ripping your mask off, maybe thump you in the head, take your weight belt off to mess up your buoyancy, and then start pulling other straps and stuff apart. Once they get done, then it's on you to put yourself all back together again in a proper order. If you don't do it in the right order, well then you're out, you fail. You have to do all this with whatever air you have left in your lungs. And of course, if you go to the surface, that's considered quitting, so you're out. And this just goes on until you get to the point when they do what's called the whammy knot. So you're going back and forth, they strip you down, give you a little bit of a beating, tie your hoses in this huge knot that you know you can't get out. And so you have to sit there and work on it until they come down and give you the okay. The goal is make sure you remain calm, conserve your air that you have in your lungs, work the problem. The relief is when they come down, they get face to face with you, mask to mask, and they give you the okay and head to the surface, and you know you've passed. It's probably the longest 20, 30 minutes of your life. So as you approach the end of BUD/S, you come back from the island, you just start prepping for graduation from BUD/S. It does not make you a SEAL. For me, you graduated, and then I went off to my specialty. And so within the SEAL community, guys specialize in specific jobs. You could be a comms guy, you can be a sniper, you can be an ordnance guy. For me, I was a medic. And so I went to a special operations medical school. Somewhere in the middle of all that, you go to jump school. So jump school is 1 month Army school learning how to be a paratrooper. It's all static line jumping, meaning I'm hooking up a line to a wire inside an airplane, and I'm either going out a door or going off a ramp, and that line is pulling my parachute out for me so that when I depart the aircraft, the parachute pops up behind me and you float to the ground, usually at 15 feet per second, and the landings can be sometimes interesting. And then when you're done with that, you check into a SEAL team. I checked into SEAL Team 3. And once you check in, you're on a probationary period where your peers are watching you and ensuring that you are the kind of guy they want to work with. You have to prove yourself. Part of proving yourself is the Chiefs board and walkthroughs. The Chiefs board, they can ask you any question they want about being a SEAL, about the equipment you use. How fast does a 5.56 round travel? What's the velocity? Well, it's 28 feet per second. They can ask you anything under the sun, and you better answer it accurately, or you have to do it all over again. And when you're at a SEAL team, you only get so many tries before they get rid of you. Even though they've invested all of that time, money, they don't care because they want to always maintain the best guys in their team. But now you go to ordnance, and all the parts of every weapon are sitting in buckets, mixed up. Not one part goes with another part, and you have to go through all these buckets and put all the weapons together, a half a dozen, maybe more weapons that at the end you'll have completed, all put together, and then they'll function test them and make sure you did it properly. Once you get done with that, now you go into your platoon, which is the group of guys you're gonna train and work with for the next year, 2 years, 3 years. Those guys, for me, when I went through, was the last step in the process of getting your trident. They decide when it's time for you to get it, your peers, which personally I think is the way to go. So it was a long road to get there, but well worth it in the end. And once you get that trident, now you are a SEAL. But you're still earning your way as a new guy. And as a new guy, you're doing everything. And when you're not doing everything, then you're volunteering for everything else and earn the respect of your more seasoned veteran guys that are at that team. Over time, usually I probably didn't feel comfortable as an operator versus a new guy until about somewhere between 3 and 5 years at the command. It takes a long time to not feel like a new guy, which is a good thing. It keeps every SEAL somewhat humble and always learning, always training, always trying to be better, and never thinking that you are the best at something, because there's always room for improvement. So, are you tough enough, smart enough to be a Navy SEAL? Anyone can do anything, and I know that sounds so cliche, but the reality is if you're truly dedicated to it, both mind and spirit, and you've got the passion and the drive, then you can be whatever you want to be, certainly a Navy SEAL.